And that's when I realized it was Jake and the horse.
Mm.
Oh wait, what? Okay, I kid.
Mm. You mean Jake was the horse?
Getting it from the horse. All right, so let's
So
start with, I guess.
are you better yet? Are you better?
I started physical therapy this couple days ago, which sucks, but I'm still kind of eager and excited about. But
Wait.
still got some time ahead. I don't have to use the walker all the time anymore. I can use just a single crutch. I'm cleared for that, except when we're going outside because it's still icy and snowy here.
Why don't you just get a why don't you just get a cane that's got like a sword hidden in it or something? Just like, crutch just seems like a target of opportunity. If I saw somebody walking around with a cane, I might think twice because at least like even if there's not like a hidden katana in that bitch, they can still beat the shit out of you with a stick.
You don't think I still carry my pistol with my crutch?
I mean, I'm not saying that you do or you don't because I'm not trying to put your business out there, but plus you look a lot cooler if you're walking on a crutch. I mean a stick versus a crutch. I think walking
Oh,
sticks are like pretty. What is that term? Like aristocrat kind of more so than like you have that like image of was it Tiny Tim? He had like a crutch.
eventually I can switch to a cane, but right now I need to have the crutch because like they want it under the arm for extra support or balance or whatever the fuck. But hopefully I'm
Mm.
not going to need this for very long anyway. So,
So you
but
started physical therapy? Did you actually do anything?
yeah, some of the exercises and mostly it was like evaluating where I'm at, what I can do,
Mm-hmm.
some basic exercises, and I think the real pain is going to start on Tuesday.
Do you know what you're doing, or you just they say this is what we're going to be doing Tuesday, or is it just do you just know that you're going to suck?
Oh, I just know it's going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
This is a physical therapist I had after the auto accident a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and and yeah, I mean, she's really good, but she it hurts.
No, it does, but it's worth it.
Yep.
It's worth it.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
so
Nothing.
welcome to the show.
Yes. Welcome to the show. I'm Jake.
I'm Drake,
This is the Jake and Drake show,
and
and
we've been talking about me recovering, but that's boring.
yeah, it is boring. I was going to ask you what the hell else is going on with you.
Not a lot. Just
Are you actually like because you're on one crutch? I mean, I don't want to get too much in this, but are you actually able to go outside and get some vitamin D?
I would need to use
Photosynthesize.
the walk. I would need to use the walker for that, and it's I can get some on my face, but
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty chilly out.
Still?
Yeah,
Mm.
still
Okay.
in the low 30s.
And you're not used to that yet, living in that state for what, 6 years now? Five
Well,
years?
I'm not used to it yet because I've been cooped up the entire winter and haven't gone outside much except to doctor's appointments. So,
Mm. Okay.
but we'll get there. Spring's around the corner, and that means shooting and going for walks in the park and stuff like that. So,
Right on. Shooting and exercising. I can get behind that. Yeah. Anything else? No, no
that's it.
new additions. No new cats.
Nope,
Yeah.
that's it.
Mm.
I don't have a lot going on in my life because it's all revolves around this stupid shit.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Oh, what about that game you're playing? Did you do? I saw that you put it on the Twitter. Retweeted that guy. Guy is like a Division publisher, or he plays Division, and he's gonna like make a Netflix series. That seemed like
Well,
something.
he's a director,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing. I mean, they've been talking about it for a while, but I guess they signed him just within the last couple of days. I don't even remember who or what, but I'm kind of looking forward. I like the storyline in the division.
Which one? The first one or the second one? I didn't play the first one.
Well, the first one, the second one's a continuation of the first one.
Mm.
The second one is we're in DC dealing with the same dollar flu that broke out in New York, which is where the first one took place.
So if I had played the first one, then I would probably understand the story mode a little bit better. But
It pretty much covers it in the second one's cut scenes and stuff.
I just know that like Hollywood, or I mean, it's not Hollywood because it's Netflix, but let's just call it Hollywood. I just know that video game ports for like shows or whatever movies, they're just not very good. But because it's a Tom Clancy thing, I would get behind and watch that. Not because I played it, some of it. It's Tom Clancy. It's got to be good, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and Netflix
like I
is
said,
doing it. Netflix is generally better than Amazon when it comes to producing shit.
Yeah, and Netflix did a good job. No, was that Amazon?
That was
Amazon
Amazon.
did Jack Ryan.
That was Jack Ryan.
But Netflix has done some good stuff. Amazon's done some good stuff. I just like the story, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it. And if he's really truly a fan of the franchise, then hopefully he'll do it justice.
Mm. Yeah, looking forward to that. So nothing else, man. Just sitting there on your phone,
pretty much doing my exercises
and doing physical therapy. Damn, dude.
Yeah.
You should see if you can get like some range therapy to go in there with it. Like just wheel you out there in a wheelchair. Just have like a setup where there's like a box on the armrests, so you can just set your rifle up there and you can shoot from a wheelchair with make sure you put the brakes on, because that would be pretty funny. Like shoot, like roll backwards. But
I mean, I could do that. The outdoor, except the outdoor range we go to is going to be snowy.
Mm.
And the indoor range, I'm just not a big fan of that indoor range. I like the outdoor range where I've got my own space. I got my own bay. I can walk down to the targets and do different kinds of drills.
Mm.
I can shoot. What was it? Train like you would fight. At the indoor range, you got to pause between shots and stuff like that, and that's just terrible for failure drills. And you don't want to train like that.
No, not really. You want to train as you fight. That's what you want to do. Oh, well, shit, dude. What did I do? Doing the community service thing. It's great. Working with these two kids, like post high school. I think one's 18, one's 20. Getting bigger, getting stronger. It's just I've always wanted to be like a coach. I've always wanted to coach football or coach baseball, or be like a strength coach. Not so much conditioning, because I'm not an expert on conditioning. Not saying I'm an expert at anything else, but I sure as hell have a lot more to offer in the baseball, football, weightlifting categories. But I think it's gonna take a while. I got to get 500 hours done, and I think by the end of this month I will have had about 25 hours, doing about 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I'm sitting about, but I did miss a lot of days because I took that vacation, so I missed 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours. So I mean, it should be interesting. I enjoy it. I start going back to work regular schedule tomorrow, so I'm kind of bummed. Because not because I don't want to work, but like the current work schedule, I go to work, and when there's not anything to do, I just sit there. Because, as last week's discussion, I have a boss with no spine. So, I've always been a firm believer, if I have subordinates and I don't have anything for them to do, I'm going to give them the opportunity to do college, do military stuff, like, do some military online schools to work on promotion points, or do like the leadership course. I will give them opportunities if there's nothing to do. And I will cover for them, because I don't mind getting my ass chewed out. But so I start going back to work pretty much 9 to 5, and probably on the weekends. I also have the this next coming weekend, we'll have to schedule the podcast for either early or later, probably later. But we're doing the sex reveal on the baby. The woman found
Set a
out.
fire, burn down a forest.
No, God no. Did you hear about the guy that did a sex reveal and killed
Blew
himself?
himself up.
Yeah. That's no. We got a piñata. We're gonna fill it up with like some colored candy. And then we got like some little chalk tubes that we're gonna pull the string, and that's about it. I gotta order a cake, a gender. I keep saying gender.
Do you realize?
Sex cake.
Do you realize that you're now by having this gender reveal party, you're
don't use that
actively
word.
participating in
Don't use gender.
transphobia.
Don't use the
Well,
word.
if you say sex cake,
I know,
sex
I
party
know,
cake,
but like gender is that it's that word that the neoliberals invented. That's what gender is. Like before gender, it was just you fill out a form, what's your sex, male or female, right? Now it's what's your gender. So it's funny how they just changed the word so that eventually later on. Anyway,
that was changed, I think, more because saying sex in public was kind of
I guess
taboo.
I
because,
guess
we were fairly repressive in the 80s and whatnot.
But
70s, 86, well, up for years. It's been a pretty repressive country, even to today. There's still laws barring like breastfeeding. Well, breastfeeding's kind of gotten fought back, but nude nipples, free the nipple. You can't have nipples out.
I don't even like seeing male nipples, like unless I'm at the beach. But like I don't even like seeing male nipples.
And then you really love seeing the male nipples.
No, it just makes me feel like either like if we're talking about nipples, like I got a really good pair of nipples. I've seen some dudes that I was like, dude, I would wear a shirt even though you're like fit, or maybe you're comfortable with your body. No one can body shame you. You see some dudes, they got like, it's like, dude, you must have like switch sexes like inside the womb because that areola is like this fucking big, or they got fucking, it's like wouldn't be advertising that, but do you, because I ain't gonna say shit. I reserve the right to think how I think. But no, you were talking about, because I'm having this sex party. I like that, this sex party. I'm having this sex party with the sex cake and the sex piñata and the sex chalk cannons that I'm contributing to what?
No, that's that whole thing is like by having gender reveal parties or sex reveal parties, you are predetermining their gender. So, and that's transphobic now.
All right, so great segue, because that definitely happened this week, right? What is your take? Like, I know what your take is, but rehash the take for the viewers.
Take on what?
That. Okay, let me give you a specific topic. So, you were born, and on the birth certificate, the hospital puts under sex, they put male. Later on in your life, you feel that you were supposed to be a female, or maybe you want to be a female. I don't know how this thing works. Was that male always a female, or does that male just want to be a male? And more importantly, like how should I react to that? Like I can respect the fact that maybe you want to put a dress on. I can respect the fact maybe you want to paint your nails, or you want to do things that are associated with being a female. And I may look at you differently. I'm not gonna berate you, I'm not gonna belittle you, but asking me to call you something I know you're not, especially if I know you, like let's say we went to school together, and during school you were.
What's the actual point?
I'm asking, like, what is your take on that? Should I give you
my take is I don't care.
Mm-hmm. So
I don't care if they want to be a dude, be a dude. If they want to be a chick, be a chick. I don't, no skin off my nose.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what this has to do with guns, but
we'll get to guns later, but I was talking about what I did this week. But no, they have like a little report card, and she's got these appointments she's got to make. She's got all this stuff that she's got to do, And so they did the fluid test to see if the baby's got genetic deformities. And they found out the sex of the baby based on that test, and they wrote it on her card, which she didn't want to know. So there is an X, and then there is an underscore where the other chromosome would be written in. And the way I just, this is just like, we keep talking about trust the science, right? Especially with the China flu. Trust the science. Wear the mask. 6 feet. Wear 2 masks. Wear 3 masks. Stay locked up your entire life. What about the science in XXXY? What about that science? Does that matter? Should we not trust that science but trust other science? You know,
Dude, I have stopped giving any single fucks about any of that bullshit.
that's fine. You don't have to give any fucks about
because
it. I'm just
because it comes down to, if somebody wants to change their gender or be present as a woman when they're born male, who cares? As long as they're not pushing it on me. What I care about is when the radical leftists or whatever who want to police wrongthink come around and start getting bitchy and fussy because you misgendered your best buddy who transitioned, or whatever. Just that kind of shit. Just fuck off. Let people be people.
They moved on from that though, right?
Did they?
Yeah, they're going the next step. The next step where, you as a 12-year-old boy.
Oh, that, yeah, yeah. It was. I think it was 14. I don't know. There was a case. There was a case. I think what you're referring to is like, there's a case that a 14-year-old girl wanted to stay with her mother because her father was abusing her, and the courts wouldn't allow her to. Even with the allegations, even with the criminal record of the father who was abused the mother. And they, even went as far as arresting the mother, I believe, and I think they even detained the daughter because she kept refusing, and forcibly took her back to the father who she kept saying was abusing her. And the discussion is, well, if a fucking 14-year-old kid can say that no, if this girl says no, I'm actually a boy, she can go under, start taking hormones or whatever, puberty blockers, without parental consent, but has no word in which parent is going to be raising her when one of them is an abuser. And that's some hokey bullshit. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think a 14-year-old girl should decide, make those decisions. I think a lot of that is somewhat. I think a lot is somewhat a fad. I'm not saying all of the transgender issues are a fad, but I believe some are, and it's become popular to be non-mainstream. I mean, fuck, man. When I was in high school, it was popular to be one of the little emo goth kids.
Yeah.
Well, not that popular, I guess, but in some little groups, it was popular to be the little emo goth kid. And,
right. Yeah.
And I think this is just kind of another extension of that. They're not comfortable in their own skin because of this, that, and the other, and they immediately find acceptance in this
community
identity.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And what's her name? She was a New York Times reporter. God, I can kind of see it. Abigail Schreier, I believe is her name, and she wrote a book on the transgender craze. And although I think that's been banned by Amazon now too. Again, it was banned, and then they put it back.
That was the one that got banned out of Target first, if I'm not mistaken, right? That was the one that got pulled. And then they had another book. It was a book by a dude named, I think it was Ryan Anderson, this past week. I
remember the Amazon thing was they wouldn't let her advertise it. They wouldn't let her advertise or promote it on the site.
It's just so weird. It's just, why can't I? Why was my book banned? Why can't I?
Well, and apparently the Amazon's not just doing that, but they're actually deleting it off your Amazon devices.
Yes. because when you buy things on your Kindle, you don't actually own the book. You own like you own the digital rights, which is different from like a hard copy.
Yeah.
But
So
I just find it funny that like the guy that did get banned this past week for, they deleted his stuff off the store and they were deleting it off of Kindles was because it was going against their hate policy. As of yesterday, no, as of 2 days ago, you could still buy a digital copy, a hard copy, a paperback of Mein Kampf. So, you know, okay, Amazon. But
yeah.
I agree with you. Like, I think this is one of the few things we agree on. So put it on the calendar. I think if we understand how the human brain, how the human body develops, and we understand that obviously, you know, a lot, I mean, a lot of states have risen the tobacco using age, but the federal age for alcohol consumption is 21. So we feel that you need enough time to mature to make a decision like that, to smoke cigarettes, to drink alcohol, to vote. Those are some important life choices. But if you think about yourself when you were in high school, like I agree exactly what you said. Like being in the goth was like a fad thing. It was like an acceptance thing. But the difference between this and the goth, and I'm sure you'll agree, is like, you grow out of it. I mean, you could stay goth if you want. There's no long term health effects. You know,
Well, and
you
that's part of it though, is that there are, in that book she talks, at least the clips I've read. I've not actually read the entire book. Um, Talks about like the detransitioning and people trying, deciding to, because it was a fad, and now they've got these permanent health issues and whatnot.
and even for
So, but
some,
we can just stay on this topic because I've got well over an hour and a half to close to 2 hours of gun stuff, so we're not going to be able to get that in.
all right, I'll just make one more point. Yeah, I will say I
Well,
don't.
no, no, no. We're not talking guns today.
Oh, oh,
'Cause I was saying we're not going to have time to do it.
all right. Next week guns, but no, I just don't. I don't think it's entirely a fad thing. I think, like I said, like kids are just confused. Kids don't even know what they want to do when they grow up. They think they want to be an astronaut, then they want to be a football player. Like as
Shit, I
erratic.
identified as a cat, man.
Yeah, and some people, when they're kids, they're like 5, they're playing with Barbie dolls, or girls are playing with trucks, and it doesn't mean that they're the wrong gender, the wrong sex. It just means that they have an interest. Not everybody wants to wear pink and comb doll hair, and not everybody wants to sit there and play with Tonka trucks in the dirt. It just you're making a permanent solution to something that could be a temporary issue. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how I feel. I feel like you should, if as a parent, maybe you just, you talk to your kids, maybe you get them counseling. I don't know what you do because I'm not in the situation, but you sure as hell don't go through with life altering surgery or puberty blockers or hormones or anything of that nature. Like that is something when your kid is out of the house, your kid can now vote, smoke, drink, do fuck all. That's their decision. But until then, your job is to raise that kid, and
And I
definitely.
remember reading one blurb somewhere where it was like a Dear Abby type of thing, but they had, I guess, at 4 or 5, their boy liked dresses, so they were going through all the hoops and stuff of gender reassignment or whatever, and several years later, boy is now 7 or something, and like, well now they want to, now our daughter wants to be, be a boy. Should we let her change back? Well, fuck, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Or more accurately, if they want to wear a dress, let them wear a fucking dress, but don't fucking try to shoehorn them into a gender.
Mm, I agree. I completely agree. I think you give the kid love, you support the kid, and you don't make those permanent decisions. Like you don't. Like you can
And
always.
and here, here's my controversial statement.
Hmm.
That's going to get me in trouble probably.
You've
So
said quite a.
cancellation incoming.
You've said it quite a few already, but we're gonna lose.
I
We're gonna
am
lose 2 followers.
I am really really glad that my child was not in any way transgender and stuff like that. And it's not because I have opposition to that sort of stuff. It's just I wouldn't want to deal with all the political bullshit surrounding it.
Mm. Like if people
I,
found out and there was pressure on you one way or the other.
well, just yeah, just oh well, now you got to you know call her him and this and that. You've got to do this, that, and the other, and it just being used for political reasons. I don't fucking care what people want to do. If my daughter wanted to be a dude, okay, whatever. But fuck, the politics around it. That's what I'm glad I don't have to fucking deal with. Cause fuck that shit.
Mm. Yeah. Did you keep up with anything else in the current event stage?
Nope.
Was there anything gun worthy that you can get out in 30 minutes, an hour?
No, I've literally got tabs, quotes,
Oh
breakdowns, statistics.
God dang, dude! Like, shoot me a text, shoot me something. Just fucking talk about
Nope.
guns for an hour and a half. That CPAC.
Well, we can talk about guns for an hour and a half, next week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Talk about.
Yeah, the CPAC thing happened. How do you feel about that?
Didn't watch a thing.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, we're bombing Syria.
Yes, we are bombing Syria. I'll let you spearhead that.
No, I've got nothing to say other than fuck the government.
Mm.
I'm done. I am like.
You don't have an "I told you so" for certain people.
Well, it's more the same. I mean, it was gonna happen.
I mean,
wasn't really surprising to me.
What do you mean it was gonna happen? You're saying it would have happened either way, either party?
Possibly, probably.
I think. I don't think.
Well, I mean, and Raytheon's got a really big, contracts over there for our weapons and
right, but
machines and.
I think it just goes to show that like all the people that are in charge of of like routing the information or giving us they're just wrong. Like they're blatantly wrong. Like the 98% out there, you have a few independent people, maybe you have people trying to make it big, but like a majority of the people were just wrong. Like we the last 4 years when Trump was in office, we killed 2 people with like precision drone strikes that needed to die, in my opinion. And that was it. We didn't kill civilians because this drone strike killed 22 civilians.
22 civilians, I think. Yeah.
So I mean, and the world was better.
Or was it actually a drone strike or surface air?
It was a precision strike. How about we just say that it killed that guy, and maybe the guy driving him, and the other one just killed him as he was going out for a smoke or something like that. But
you're talking about the one that happened during Trump.
Well, there was 2 that happened during Trump. There was 2. Right. There was
I know whatever that leader guy was a drone for sure, but who cares? Don't care about any of that shit. Don't care about Trump.
I'm just saying that everybody our corporate overlords in the mainstream media, they're just wrong about everything. They're if we get Biden in, then
no,
everything's
they weren't
better.
They weren't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They were intentionally deceitful. When someone's wrong like that almost implies a mistake. This isn't wrong. This is intentionally covering up agendas. This is intentional deceit.
Yeah, I could see that. And all those 80 plus million people that voted for Joe Biden, I don't know. Like I know you're on the Twitter sphere. How many of those tweets that like how many tweets aged well by laughable in your face standards, where like, oh, Biden wouldn't do this, and then Biden does it. Biden wouldn't. Well, you guys are crazy.
Biden didn't do shit. Are you kidding me?
Well, yes, I know, but it's the administration. So yeah, there was
Biden probably barely knows it's the weekend.
Probably. He's just living in his basement somewhere. So yeah, And the worst part is, I think the worst part is these people that, uh, I mean, you still have some of them that probably feel like cheated, like, oh, this isn't what I voted for, but a majority of them are just still like, kind of like the way that people that voted Trump in the first, when Trump got voted in, like just the middle finger, like, oh, Hillary Clinton, well, fuck you, I'm not voting, or I'm voting for Trump, right? I think that's what they're going through right now. But the difference is I can tell you, like, there's no stimmy checks, there's no student loan payout. What else was promised if we got Joe Biden in office? America was back. We're bombing Syria. We're about to superinflate the currency. I mean, dude, this shit is crazy. It's very crazy. Uh, I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, we're gonna have boots on the ground again, probably within the next few months.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not. I don't. I want to leave peacefully, with all my limbs intact, and most importantly, my life. But if I leave, don't cry for me, Darian. I was already dead. I'm already dead. So yeah, the CPAC thing happened, and former President Trump, I think he gave a 30-minute speech. I didn't actually get to watch it. I went for a walk.
I thought it was longer than that. Someone's talking about like hours. I don't know.
What I saw was it said full speech on YouTube, and it was 30 minutes, and it was on the Forbes channel. So I had it queued up, and then I closed the tab, but I can just go look it back. But the Trump made a return. The Trump made a return finally, and his agenda is that he is going to, I guess, I don't know what you would call it. His platform, his platform is he is going to primary rhinos. That is what he's going to do. He hinted he may run for office again in 2024, but as of now, he is going to work on fundraising and campaigning to platform rhinos, which I know you don't give a shit about, but 5-minute clip I did hear, he did say in regards to the Democrats is that they stick together no matter what, and the Republicans don't. But the things that the Republicans have that Democrats don't is policy. Like, at least the policy of the last 4 years, and I guess the exception in regards to gun control, because that is a hot ticket with you, and I respect that. But everything else that the former President Trump has done, Biden has basically done a 180 on, and it does just it. I don't. It's just it's crazy. It is. So his goal is to primary rhinos, which I say good for him. You know, we have 2 impeachments to show for. We saw who our rhinos were. Why don't they just run as Democrats? I don't know, because they wouldn't get elected in their states.
I'm a little disappointed we're not talking gun control, though, because it's particularly fitting for today.
Well, let's drop that and let's go straight into like gun control then. We've got time.
We do not have time.
Okay. All right. Well, then I will bring up a topic I wanted to talk to you about, because I don't feel like we finished. So we talked about the voluntarism. Am I saying it right? That movement, and we talked about libertarianism. Okay, so the first thing I want to understand is, what would you say libertarian is versus voluntarism? Which does which? Where's the difference?
Libertarianism is closer to minarchism, which is minimal government, bare bones stuff like that. Voluntarism is closer to anarchy in the sense no masters, no leaders. Everything is voluntary exchange.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I want to bring that up because I do see a lot of your tweets about that. Like not you, just your retweeting or your liking or quoting. So in this ideal environment, are you a libertarian or are you a voluntarian? Where would you be?
I'm rapidly becoming an anarchist. because I'm pretty much done with the Libertarian National Party. There's a lot of infighting going on, um, and yeah, I'm just done.
So you're
Done with it
done.
all.
You're done because there's arguing.
I'm pretty much done. The system is fucking corrupt. It's not going to change. I'm not going to vote for Democrat. I'm not going to vote for Republican.
Mm.
And that's it.
So let's
Why waste my time? Look, here's the thing, and this is what really settled it for me.
Mm.
When I was having a really great day, and got in, one of my news alert things, blah blah, bombing Syria. Is like fuck, and like my Twitter feed was full of all of the bombing Syria stuff. Going, you know what? Fuck this. So I'm pretty much going to be just. I am gradually shutting down my social media. I've been calling what I'm, my alerts when I'm seeing. I've turned off my news feeds and stuff like that. And, what's the point? It doesn't matter. We as citizens don't fucking matter to the state. So, except what they can, bleed out of us.
Mm.
And so why? I'm not gonna participate anymore. I'm gonna be, why put in effort, time, and energy to research policies and platforms and stuff when it's not going to fucking matter?
I would let me stop you there. So when we're talking about that, right? We're talking about like bills that become laws, or are we talking about executive orders? Like what are we talking about here? Are we talking about everything?
Pretty much everything.
Because
the only thing I'm going to pay attention to is like local politics. What are they doing about the shit here, where I live? And then I can rabble rouse if someone's trying to pull something fucking stupid.
I think the biggest problem, I would say, uninformed, misinformed voters.
It's not the fucking voters, dude.
Well, hold up.
The thing is, the voters are informed. They were informed that, Joe Biden wasn't Trump, and that Trump was bad, and that Joe Biden was going to give him $2,000.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about more local, though. I'm kind of going where you're going. So as far as the presidency goes, okay, whatever, dude. I'm not going to fight that battle. But like you have a representative, and you vote for that person just because they're black, or because they're white, or because they're Republican, or because they're Democrat. And
I'm not voting in like I'm not talking about
I'm not talking about you though. I'm talking about so we're talking about shitty policy. We're talking about tax raises. We're talking about federal minimum wage increases. We're talking about putting men and women's sport. We're talking about all this shit, right? So you have these American people that have the right to vote, but they don't vote responsibly. Like here's one thing. So you're an incumbent, and you're running for re-election, and most people are just going to vote for you because you got a D or an R next to your name, or your skin color, or your gender, or your whatever. Like there's no way of there's no way of holding somebody accountable. Like, look, these people that get elected as your state, senator, your state representative, your federal senator, your federal representative,
yeah, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about my city people.
Oh, I understand.
That's it.
But I'm saying, okay, I get it. I understand that. But what I am saying is that these people that have constituents, like the Romney guy, like he goes up there, and when he votes for shit, he votes for what he thinks is right. And that's the wrong answer. Like the system should work. You vote for, you could run on a ticket, and your ticket is Nazism, white national, and in that district, that small area of the country, you would get voted in because everybody's white and everybody hates Jews and blacks, right? So when you get to where you are, you should be voting for shit. Like if anything calls for equality, you shouldn't vote for it. If anything calls for this, you shouldn't vote. And maybe people will censor you or whatever, but you're representing the people, your constituents, and that's not what's going on. Like these people, aren't representing. Like they are voting for what they think is right. And what should happen is the next time that they're up for re-election, they should just get primaried. be voted out. That's that simple. You know, they should not be. They shouldn't be where they are. Aside from term limits, but I feel like me talking to the people on the Twitter sphere and the Facebook is like these people just they're not informed. They're smooth brains. They don't put in the effort. I mean, dude, congratulations, you're an adult. There's a lot of things I don't like doing as an adult. I don't like paying my bills. I don't like getting paid and then immediately not having money. I don't like that. You know, I don't like fucking.
That's because the government's stealing from you.
Well, aside from my taxes, you know, I bought a fridge. I bought a dishwasher. I got a credit card with 0% interest. I still had to pay the credit card back. My point is, there's things that you have to do as an adult that you don't want to do. You got to wake up. You got to go to work. How are you going to get money? I don't want to do that. I wish somebody would just hand me money every year. Like, it doesn't work that way. And if you have this right to vote, then why aren't you going to put in the work, you know, to learn who the fuck you're voting for, or learn or you know who the other guy is or who the other girl is. Like there's so much responsibility that you have as a citizen in the. I mean, you are afforded so many responsibilities, right? And the funny part is people, like a majority of the population, doesn't even get to use them, and sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's good to not have to plead the fifth. It's just good to like not be in trouble. Sometimes it's good to, you know, I mean, whatever. Freedom of press. Like, you know, maybe you don't even fucking listen to the press. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. But these people that vote, I'm not gonna go as far out to say they're like a drunk driver, but when you're voting for someone that's driving this country, like, you might as well kind of be in the backseat handing this guy boots, because you have no clue what these people are doing. You're not doing your research.
So why vote?
Why own a gun, Darian?
Because I can.
But you can vote too, so you don't want to vote because you don't. Well,
why? Why bother?
Well, why?
I'm going to take my guns.
Mm-hmm. Well, why
own a gun?
Why do you
to protect myself and my property?
Well, but why? But why would you need that? Like, why? You know, because that's
protect
not
myself and property.
That's not what the Second Amendment was made for. It was not to protect you. It was to protect you. It was to protect you from the tyrannical government. So
not just for that. And again, now we're starting to talk guns and stuff, and I'm not going to do it because I got a whole shitload of stuff to talk about.
Well, you need to.
On this day, the 20th anniversary of the ATF murdering a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Because of gun control.
Yeah. But that being said, I just feel, as far as voting goes, I feel that there's a lot of irresponsible both sides.
It's a waste. There's a waste of time.
Okay, so anyway, so this voluntarism, I can't even say it right, but I had a question, okay? And this is what I'm seeing a lot of, is you have a lot of these people, I don't know, you might have seen one of the guys, it's just like, the guy's an anarchist, but he's a constitutionalist, and I was just kind of taken aback, because he's...
I think if you read the rest of that, he said something about it being a constitutional libertarian or something.
Well, his bio, that's what I'm talking about. If you looked at his bio, he says he's an anarchist and a constitutionalist. And my whole point was, I was like, well, you understand what the Constitution is. Okay, so let's assume you're an anarchist, and that means just, right, no government, right? There's no government. And
no leaders.
No leaders. So basically, we live in a community, and we just live in like a community with a bunch of houses and people and families. And then... how do we establish rights? Like, do we write them down on a piece of paper? Is it like a bro code? Do we just know these things? Like, so that's my first thing. So there's got to be some kind of like paper agreement, like a contract. Like, you have the right to smoke weed. You have the right to play loud music. These are your rights, whatever they are. Now, the next question is, nobody's perfect. So if somebody violates these rights, like, how are you going to keep people in line? Like, if I don't respect your right to smoke weed,
do it yourself. Yep.
So
or voluntary agreements with others.
But some of these people may not care.
And you know, we're going to have to pause again.
So yeah, we're talking about the voluntarism, and you're telling me that, right, in this harmonious society, if somebody steps out of line, you're supposed to wrap them up yourself or take care of them, right? There's no government, there's no other intervention except between two individuals, two adults. That's the premise.
Yes, pretty much just
So,
voluntary interaction. So I mean, it's basically self sufficiency. Take care of your own shit, and if you want to group up with your neighbors and do stuff together, and then great. And then if people want roads, then they can get together and they can pay for roads and so on and so forth. If this a large enough group, they decide they want to have a police force, they can contract people to be police. But and then voluntary pay for those services, versus the government saying, no, you need to have X, Y, and Z, and we're going to take your money under threat of force, and not only take care of X, Y, and Z, but we're going to also do A, B, C, D, and E that
right.
you don't need or want,
Nah,
and
yeah.
so that's it in a nutshell.
I just have one problem with is like anytime like it all starts off with a brainstorm, and to me the brainstorm just seems very logical and free flowing, but then you have to think of like the extremes, because when you look at the Constitution, like I'm sure some of it was extreme and I'm sure some of it was past experience, but you create this community where these people are living and they're supposed to be doing all this stuff, and we can volunteer to pay for a road or how, but then you have someone that doesn't want to pay for it. So are now you have to kick them out of the community, but they don't want to
Or
leave.
they don't use the road.
Well, but
Here's the thing:
who's going to stop them from using the road? Are you
those
are
that paid for it,
well?
sure,
I'm just
toll
like,
roads. Yep.
no. What I agree is that like I feel as whether we're talking about voluntarism or we talk about the government we're living in today, there is a certain amount of level of like mutual respect that should be there as neighbors. We should respect each other. We should value each other. We should take care of each other. But that isn't necessarily there. It isn't here today. And when you create like this new kind of community, it may be there temporarily, but it's not going to last. At some point, someone's going to step out of line, and you got to check them somehow. Because if you don't check them, then they're like, well, look at fucking Jake. He's not paying for the roads. He didn't pay for the police services. And you know what? I'm not going to do it. And then another guy doesn't do it. And all of a sudden, you can't pay off the road, and you can't pay the police force. Like there has to be now all of a sudden you have to have like a committee of people that hold people accountable for not following the community guidelines. And in essence, right there and then you've created a government. So no matter
Is it
how
voluntary?
what voluntary?
Okay. Here's the litmus test basically.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a group of people that live in close proximity, and they decide that they want to have a road. Now, when they get together and say, okay, well, we all want this road, so this is how much it's going to cost, and they all chip in for said road.
Mm.
Now, over time, their little community starts to grow, and they realize, okay, we need people who are going to make sure that others aren't causing harm to others or violating property rights. So they voluntarily choose to hire private police. And that's what it is. Now if people don't, who are in the community don't want to contribute to these things, they can go without. Or, they're welcome to leave. And that's the thing. If I'm welcome to leave the community I am in, buy a chunk of land in the middle of nowhere, homestead and do my own thing, cool. And I'll band with my neighbors if need be, and people, my friends and whatnot can come and stay or whatever if necessary, and as long as they follow the same principles.
Now, this community though, is this So when we decide to do something, this is pure democracy. Everything is pure democracy. So are we talking you have to win 51-49? Are we talking it has to be 100%? Like, like how are you making these decisions? Everybody in the city, in the community, has to
Do
get
you
together.
own the land that you live on, and those landowners are the ones who are paying for it?
So people that own land are the ones deciding whether or not a police force gets made and paid for, right?
Well, if the people living there want to hire a private security force, they can too.
This is what I'm saying. I like, okay, this land is the community land. Everybody's living on.
There is no community land.
Okay, so everybody has their own land, but at some point they're a community because they're voluntarily helping each other out in whatever way. But hey, people might try to come in. A bigger community than ours might try to come and hurt us. I mean, that is a possibility.
Sure.
This is essentially how government was created. And what I'm telling you is, at some point, this community is going to get really big, and
It will not.
well, it will. It will. Here's what's going to happen. Either you're going to procreate and have kids, and it's going to get bigger, or you guys are going to die. Everybody's going to die, and then there's no community, and that idea dies with that community. So at some point, this community will be big enough. You will create a government. That is inevitable. Like, that is here's your option. Here's your option.
The government will be the family in that situation.
Here is your other option. The way I see it is that you just don't. You live by yourself. You're an aborigine. You hunt your own food. You farm your own land. And you just
don't tease me like that, Jake.
You live off the grid, and there's no need for government. But once you start getting different groups, and I say this like families, because at least with families, there's a bloodline there. But once you get different bloodlines, and you guys come together as a community, as people that own parcels of land or what have you, like, at some point, there's going to be some kind of governance. It may remain small. It could get bigger. And the one thing I say, I agree that taxation is theft with you, only to the extent that there's a lot of programs that aren't fucking necessary. Like, that we don't need Social Security. That's a personal responsibility. Like, that's like save your money. Save what you can. Otherwise you're working until you're dead. We don't need healthcare. Like, like, fucking work harder at your job, get better job skills, invent something. Capitalism, whatever. But there are things you need taxes for, and you do need some kind of governance, because when there are these rules, these things.
Why are you saying that I need governance?
I say you. That you is plural too. It's not just you singular. You is also plural. You want me to say you all, y'all, like everybody that lives in a civilized society where I just don't walk into your house and steal your shit and kill you and rape your wife and your dog. That you need a civilized society to have a governance to keep that society.
If somebody does try something like that, I can respond.
You can
with force.
You can, but
my wife can respond with force.
Yes, but if I really want to rape your dog, it's not going to be just me. I'm bringing the whole crew.
And we're back to why the whole gun control bullshit is bullshit.
But that's my point. My point is, there's 2 of you, there's 20 of us.
That's why we have 30 round mags.
And they have 30 round mags too. Like, let's be real. Bad people are bad people. You have to assume the worst. If you assume the worst, it may never happen, but you'll be prepared. And no matter how anybody tries to paint the picture that we don't need government, it's like, you don't need government if you're living on your plot of land and you're all by yourself and you rely on nobody for anything. You could put out your own fires. You can do your own surgery. You can grow your own food. You can kill your own deer. You don't need a governance. And that's totally cool. And you can live, and you can have a family, and you can grow up living that way. But once you start interacting with other people have different ideas how they want to run the land. And you say it's just so simple as get up and leave, go somewhere else. But maybe they don't want to leave. Like, I if you ever look at like
are they on my property?
They're next door to you. There's a property line, and you guys are in this community, and you decide we want a fire department. because there's been a lot of fires and I really don't have the time to go over there with a wet rag and a bucket to go put out fires. And so we need to hire it. And they're like, well, we don't want to hire a fire department. We've never had fires. And it's like,
Okay,
well,
then they don't have to contribute to that, and they don't get the service.
but now
And if
essentially you're the only one paying for a fire department. And then
I'm the only
thus,
one,
I'm saying, like,
but
maybe,
if I'm the only, okay, if I'm the, let's just say that if I'm the only one paying for said service, I can tailor said service to my situation. And
mm,
then when the neighbor's house catches on fire,
mm-hmm,
sucks to be him.
right. So how much do you think
And I can voluntarily go and help him out, and
you
you
could?
know,
But I mean, you're skating around the fact that you only make so much money, and you're going to keep these firemen on retainer for just your house. Five
no,
firemen.
you could use different services. It doesn't have to be 5 firemen to come drive over here with a truck from a station.
But
It could
right,
be
but I'm telling
different fire suppression system. I could, spend a couple $1,000s on, on drone monitoring and shit like that to look for the fires. Or there's all sorts of things. The point is, it's got to be voluntary. Forced coercion. If it's a good idea, it's not going to require force. So
it
if the
doesn't.
roads are
It doesn't. Right. I agree. I agree.
so
And
that's the point of voluntarism. It's purely relying on voluntary action.
but I do want you to think about this, and anybody else watching is like, there will be conflict, and the conflict will need resolution.
Sure.
And
And it'll get resolved.
it will get resolved, but it requires either it's going to require vigilantism, which is just going to kill this entire experiment, or you're going to have to appoint like judges, or you're going to have to appoint people as moral arbiters to decide who's more right than somebody else. And in essence, you've created government. Like there's just no way around it unless you and your family don't buy anybody else's shit. You make all your own shit. You live on your own land. You do your
But
own
what if I
thing.
want to buy somebody else's shit? I can go to them and say, "Hey, I want some of that fresh cow milk that you got, that
Mm-hmm.
you just milked this morning,
Mm-hmm.
unpasteurized, untreated, no hormones, none of that other bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
and I am willing to trade you, 5 pounds of beef
Mm.
for 5 gallons of milk."
Sure. It's a terrible deal.
It is what it is.
But no,
So
I
that's a voluntary
it
exchange.
is. It is. It is. But like the voluntary exchange part is totally on point. But when you sit there and you multiply out the possibilities of what happens, it is eventually going to end up you are going to start a government of some sort, whether it's a homeowners association, whether it's a city board, whether it's a mayor, whether it's a governor, whether I mean it will
Why?
ultimately end up because people are people. They are not perfect. They will steal, they will kill, they will rape. Not all of them. God willing, not all of them, but people are not perfect. You will deal. I mean, you've dealt with, dude. I can think of people I thought were good people and they were terrible people. And I'm sure you can do the same. Like, as beautiful in your mind as it is, all of a sudden in your community there's a kid toucher, or there's something going on, a cattle thiever, something, and you gotta have something, or somebody
Well, did he?
doesn't.
So tell me. So there's a cattle thiever, and this
Mm-hmm.
cattle thiever's caught.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what?
Then it's up to the property owner.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do?
That's up to the property owner.
So I stole your cattle. What do you do?
You stole my cattle.
But how did you? But here's the thing is, so how did you catch the guy? Did you?
I don't know.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
don't know how good of a cattle rustler you are.
So you obviously have to investigate. So now you have to stop working your job to investigate, or you have to hire someone else to investigate. So let's say you hire someone else to investigate, and they report to you and they say this guy stole your cattle.
How do
And
I?
now,
Okay, see,
now,
you're coming up with like crazy, outlandish
well, no,
possibilities. If someone steals my cattle,
I am trying to
bottom
get to,
line.
I'm trying to get to what are you going to do? That is what I'm saying. What are you going to do? Are you
Well,
going
for starters, I wouldn't hire somebody else to. Second, I would have, taking care of myself and my family and my own won't require so many cattle that they need
Oh
to
my
free
god.
range
You are missing.
graze and all that.
I took something that belongs to you. What are you going to do about it, dude?
Dude, you've got to give me a full fledged scenario if you want me
I did.
to try to.
I said I stole your goat, bro. I stole your
You
goat.
said cattle, but go on. You stole my goat.
You
Where'd you
found it.
steal it from? So I'm gonna do the same thing back. Where'd you steal it from?
I stole it from your land.
Where on my land?
Doesn't matter. It's mine
It
now.
does matter.
What are you going to do about it?
Shoot you.
You're going to shoot me.
Yep.
You shoot me, and guess what? My family is going to shoot you. And now
They can try.
well, you could try to shoot me. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like this is why.
Yeah. So don't steal my shit.
Well, I'm not, dude. You're missing the point. People are corrupt. They are not perfect. They will fail.
And now when things happen, they say, oh well, this is the family that
Mm-hmm.
Jake's family. They're the assholes who went and were stealing goats and probably fucking them
Mm-hmm.
and doing all sorts of whatever shit with them.
But this is coming from
One
the
of
guy.
them, Jake, got shot, and now his family's going to war.
This is the same guy, and I say this because I'm trying to prove a point, and you're trying so hard to win something you're not going to win. But this is the same guy that is against police brutality. So when we're talking about an action that should be an opposite and equal reaction, like shooting someone over stealing a goat, should never fucking happen. Even if I give you a middle finger, shouldn't happen. You shouldn't shoot me over that. The point is, how are you going to get your goat back? Where's the retribution? You don't have the power to do that. The only power you have to do is to take my life. Or fight me. Fight me for the goat. Okay, well, I lift weights and I do Muay Thai. And you stand no chance and now the goat is still mine. How are you going to get your shit back? It ultimately leads, in a civilized society, you have to have a governor. You have to have some kind of governance. That's the way it is.
That's not true.
And the one thing I will agree with is
the ones that will try who will act the way you're describing will be culled fairly quickly, because no longer will the people who have the property and are trying to be left the fuck alone will have their hands tied when the goat fuckers come along in the middle of the night.
I'm just so we half the town wants to kill my family because I stole your goat, and then I just say, well, your goat wandered on my property. We're in a civil war. A lot of people die on both sides. Very fucking productive. If we had some kind of
Well, then don't steal my goat.
If we had some kind of judicial system, like, I would just go to jail. There'd be a trial, and I go to jail, and everybody gets to live. That's
and then your family has to pay for your jail, for keeping you in there, and your food, if they want you to eat. That is.
I just want to point out, like, the idea that you can live in a society, like, in close proximity with other human beings not related to you, and we all have dysfunctional families, so there's probably people in your own family you can't even live a block away from, in your wife's family, same here, right? Like, but there has to be some kind of moral arbiter. There has to be a judge. There has to be a police force. There has to be some public services, and I think we would all agree in this small community, not on a large scale, like, we would need a police force. So taking money from me wouldn't be a big deal, because I'm like, yeah, I need someone to go after that guy because I really don't have the time or the patience, and I'm not a big dude. I'm only 5'7". So if that dude is like 6'3" and 300 pounds, what am I going to do to him besides put a bullet in him? And putting a bullet in somebody over stealing something of mine is not equal reaction of force. So yes, let's hire some cops who have the right to put a bullet in some dude's ass if he resists arrest, or if he pulls a gun on him, or some stupid shit, and then judicial process for stealing a goat. But there's no way you can live in peace and that society can last without some type of government. And I say, I agree, taxation is theft, only because our government spends the money so fucking poorly. So fucking poorly. Like, $2 trillion COVID stimulus package, and only a select group of Americans are getting money. And there's millions of dollars for a bridge, millions of dollars for a tunnel, foreign countries getting money out of this, minimum wage going up, all this stupid fucking shit, because we have such a duopoly, as you said, of a fucking government. Like, what just happened? Like, what happened, as I was saying earlier, to just doing what the fuck you were supposed to do? I elected you because of these reasons. Go over there and represent them. If the bullshit, if everybody that was elected went up there and voiced what their constituents wanted, we would have a lot more responsible policies. We really would. We wouldn't have bullshit like this because everybody wants to go back to work. Everybody wants to fucking pay their bills. Nobody wants to be locked down. No reasonable American wants to be locked down. And this shit would be done. And this shit is, oh, it's just politics. Like, I am so tired of hearing it's politics. Like, it doesn't have to be politics. Like, you know what the politics part is? Is when you and me are running for the same seat. That's politics. Yeah, he was fucking goats back in 3rd grade. Oh, yeah, well, he was doing crack behind the dumpster 2 weeks ago. That's politics. But, like, when it comes to voting for our interests and passing responsible legislation and spending our tax money responsibly.
So if my interest is a complete abolition of the U.S. government, then how is voting helping that?
Well, you elect a representative that, I mean, that's how the constitutional republic works. That's how the democratic republic works. That's how it works. You elect a representative.
Or here, let me ask you a question. If half the country, we'll just say half the country, said, you know what, fuck this, we're done, we're not paying any more taxes, what would happen? Besides the government printing more money.
I don't know what you mean. Like, so they just out of 350 million.
They take all their wealth out of the banks, stick it in Bitcoin so it can't be seized by the government, or some other cryptocurrency or something that the government can't just grab, or even just into cash, still the fiat currency, but whatever, but just cash. So they don't have electronic means of the government coming in there and just debiting, deleting a number, and they say we're not paying anymore.
Then they just repossess your fucking whatever they could and throw you. And dude, this is what
hold on. So you've got the government is going to do that to what's the population of the U.S. right now?
Well, let's go with 180 million because that's about how many people voted. So those are probably the people paying taxes, right? Because you got some of that's kids. Some of those are retired.
90 million people. The government's going to do this to 90 million people.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. Okay. Yeah. Dude.
Do you think that's going to work?
No, I don't.
Or do you think maybe after the first, I don't know, I'll be generous. The first, 15, 20 million, people be like, fuck that. And start shooting at the tax man when they come up the drive.
I mean, what do I think would happen? Honestly, I think this is what I think. I think Americans are the best people in the world. I think they're the most charitable. I think they're, generally speaking, they're the most caring, the most compassionate of their own, generally speaking. And I think what's going to happen is if that scenario played out, like, I think that people would just fucking they would just stop and they would pay their taxes.
I don't think so.
Well,
if half the country does it on, let's say a quarter, so 45 million people, decide, no, I'm not participating in this bullshit anymore. You think that after making that stand, they're not going to keep fighting?
I think because here's the thing is, like, the only way to end it is to secede, to become your own country, to be like.
And we're back to the divorce I was talking about.
I know, but like I'm gonna remain a part of this institution, but I'm not gonna pay into it. And then you have the IRS squad going in, you have the federales going in, you have the local police force. Like, I don't want to fucking, like, I don't want to shoot a cop, dude. I don't want to shoot it. Dude, as pissed off as I get, I don't want to kill an American. I don't. And maybe that doesn't bother you, but it bothers me because I know that guy. I don't
want to kill anyone. American, Iraqi, fucking Syrian. I don't want to kill anybody.
I understand.
But I'm willing to do so if necessary.
I don't want
to protect my own life and my own liberty and my own
I
property.
agree. I agree. I
Not
will.
because some people are being dipshits in the Middle East.
Let me throw something out here. So in this scenario, you're a single man. So in that scenario, I completely agree with you. Fuck it. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't know you. I have no attachment. This is my shit I worked my whole life for, and how dare you come and do this to me? And you know what? You may be a martyr. People may celebrate your death, but if you're married, you have kids, you have grandkids, like there's other people that whether they depend on you, they could depend on you financially, they could depend on you, like dude, like it's not about you anymore. The minute you marry somebody, the minute you have a kid, it's not about you anymore. And unfortunately, like as I get older, that's what I learn, and that's what I tell other people is like, all these decisions you could make, nonchalant, go to jail, fuck your own life up, fuck your credit score. Like, yeah, that's on you, but now you're married. Now you got people depending on you. And if you're a fucking responsible American citizen, are you gonna let that? So, dude, I am there with you. First and foremost, I don't want to kill an American. I don't want to kill anybody, but most importantly, I don't want to kill American. And what if there's just some cop and he's just doing his job and like, hey, you got to go. And dude, you know how that shit is. They don't tell you the full story. They may fucking spin it. They be like, hey, that dude over there, he's been pointing his guns at people and blah blah blah. We need to go and confiscate him. And in reality, that's not what's going on. You just didn't pay your taxes. And they roll up and they're, sure, come out of the house. And you're like, no, never. And then you do some like John Rambo shit. Fucking start blowing. You have fucking mines in the ground, or you have fucking tunnels dug out, and you just start fuck. You know what I mean? Like, these people are coming for your shit. They're not gonna rightfully say like this guy was a good guy. He just was tired. No, they're gonna fucking they're gonna label you, dude. And that way,
Yeah,
the other
they're gonna
American.
label they're gonna label all 45 million people as tax evaders and criminals and blah blah blah. And
But I would say if on that spectrum, like there's no way they could go after 45 million people. If 45 million people got on Reddit and they all came up with this game plan, like it ain't happening. And it's gonna make a lot of people question the federal government and what's going on. That would be a
good,
genius idea,
but
but it's not gonna happen because
that is one of the actual points of agorism, voluntarism, is using, well, civil disobedience, you
mm-hmm.
know, and that's, not paying your taxes, not paying, not following these government imposed regulations, selling that fucking gallon of milk that you just freshly milked to your neighbor who wants to buy it,
mm.
and not pasteurizing it and treating it and doing all this shit that the government says you've got to do and paying them for approval. No, fuck all of that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, there's just way.
And then, counter economics is the big part of it, which is, and maybe that's going into those specifics on that is probably something we need a specialist to discuss. But counter economics, just, as long as you're not hurting anybody, business is business. If you're not hurting somebody else, fucking go ahead, be a hooker if you want. As long as you're not fucking, robbing people or whatever, and it's voluntary, great, more power to you.
Sure. I guess. I think we had this discussion like a few weeks ago. We were talking about like drugs and other things that are regulated, but yeah. Uh, dude, I just know that like we need like a government, but I don't know how the fuck we got here. I really don't. Like we need a government. We need term limits. We need responsible budgeting. We need and most importantly, the core of everything I've ever been saying about anybody since like 2019 is we need people to fucking be adults. We need people to parent. You have people raising kids or the lack thereof. And
dude, we're in a society full of fucking sheep. It's not going to happen. Give up on that idea.
Hmm.
There are too many people too comfortable with sucking off the teat of the government, which isn't really the teat of the government or the state.
No,
It's all of us.
it's all of us. Yeah.
There's no such thing as government funded. They take that money from you and me and everyone else.
I agree.
So, fuck that.
I
Don't give
agree.
them the money. How are they going to bomb Syria if they don't have money for the bombs?
This what they would normally do. Like they would over budget, and then they would turn around and they would borrow money from people, and then they promise to pay it back in 20 years at like 2% interest, and then they just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: the corporations have better bookkeeping and accounting than the government does, and we'll take a look at that and realize, huh? So they aren't going to have any money because people aren't paying their taxes anymore, and they still want to keep bombing Syria, and they keep want to buying our bombs, um, but they can't pay the bill. It's not going to happen.
I mean,
It'll have to stop eventually.
yeah, it would. But in this case, in that particular example, that was an executive action. That was an administrative action, I guess I should say. That wasn't anything. It's not like we declared war on Syria. That was just the Biden administration doing what they were doing. So, um, but yeah, um, yeah, it's kind of depressing, dude. It's kind of depressing.
It's a depressing topic, which is why I'm done dealing with the whole fucking system. I'm just going to do my own thing, pay as little taxes as possible, try to get to a point where I can say fuck it and go be left alone.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I still got a few years before I can do that. Still got a few years before I can do that, but yeah, I don't know. So when you move down to Texas, because you're in the wrong part of the country.
I don't think I'm in the wrong part of the country.
Oh, dude. Like if you look at the way things go, see, Texas is conveniently located next to Mexico, and it has a port. It has a coast. It's got a lot of ports, but so you guys are essentially landlocked between Canada and United States, whereas Texas can at least work some shit out with Mexico, since probably half the people in Texas are from Mexican descent. So, I don't know. I think if Texas seceded from the Union, I think you should come down and party. We'll go. We'll
Well,
go.
if Texas actually secedes and Idaho still is part of it, I probably would.
Mm,
And that's why I want to actually buy land in Texas, even while living up here, just so that if that happens, I would be a Texas citizen.
mm. Yeah, I would put in a reference. You could use me as a reference. Hey, I know this guy. He's a good guy, and he does good things, and he works hard. Except when he's broke, broken, like physically. Uh, that's, I don't know, man. It is depressing when you bring it down to like that level, but
But that's the thing, though. You've got to boil it all down.
I agree, but like there's more, like essentially what you're saying is just give up. Like that's not what you're saying blatantly. Maybe that's not.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Right, but what you're saying is
In fact, it's more of a fight standing up and doing these things.
But what you're saying is, okay, you're saying, I feel what you're saying is give up on what is going on now and start.
Yeah, giving
fresh.
up on the relationship.
Right.
It is
and,
time.
And I'm
It's
saying,
been going on. The experiment's broken. It's time for a divorce.
And I'm saying, why not just fight it out to the bitter end? I don't know. Maybe. I kind of like to fight until I know stuff is completely done. I've done everything I could do. I've exhausted all resources. when someone just like, yeah, you know what, it's not going the way I want it to, and I'm out of here. That to me, that's kind of giving up. Like if you went every avenue, and every avenue was blocked or whatever, then to me that says more to me. And who am I to you? I'm probably nobody, but that speaks more to me. That speaks more to me of that individual. It's like, well, I tried doing it this way, and I did this way, and I did this way, and none of that shit was working. So that's why I'm just sitting here smoking a cigarette on the curb, about to go home. And be like, well, shit, you tried everything. Well, I can't be mad at you, but if it's like, well, it's more like I didn't get my chicken tendies and things aren't going my way, and blah. It's like, yeah, well, dude, like you know, life's not fucking easy, and you should know that. You're old enough to know that you went through a lot of shit and you fought through a lot of shit. So you should probably try fighting through some more shit. I mean, you're too young to fucking give up now. It's still the great.
Give up on the relationship.
It's still the greatest. It's still the greatest in the world. You know, like you post a lot of memes. Are you going to jail for the memes you post? No. Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. But
not yet.
So keep fucking trying, dude. That's all I can say.
But why? Because I don't want to inundate myself with that negativity.
Let me ask you this. Darian,
okay.
Darian, Darian, right now, life sucks to some extent. And I'm not advocating for this, but why haven't you considered other options? You know why? Because you're a fucking fighter. Like right now, maybe you don't want to fight this battle, but you're fighting harder battles than this immediately. Like we just talked about federal government versus the local government and how you're just going to start paying it. Well, dude, right now you are fighting a battle to be mobile, to live a normal life. Why are you even fighting that? Just fucking let it go, right? You've been through 3 months of this shit. Why fucking keep going? Like you do realize like there
because I enjoy my liberty.
Because you enjoy living. You do enjoy your liberty, but
no, no. Because if I was gonna it's not just living. It is liberty. I couldn't live if I was going to be bedridden for the rest of my life. Point blank, dude, I'd probably off myself.
Well, but you're fighting, so you're not. That's my point. Like
because I'm not it never was a thing. If it got to the point where like my spine was broken and I was going to be stuck in bed for the rest of my life because of that.
Yeah.
Then yeah. What's the point?
Well, the point is there's still liberty to be had. There's still an election in a year. There's still a presidential election in 3 years. And
what does it matter?
Until we get to the point where like we are there at the imminent divorce, you just got to keep going, dude. I'm telling you, that is the biggest measure of an adult ever, is just continuing to fucking go on and on and on. Just think of all those people that lived in oppressive countries that didn't off themselves. There was no liberty. There was no reason for them to live, but they kept living. And at some point, they overthrew the government, or the regime changed, and their life wasn't better. Maybe their kids' life or their kids' kids, but their great grandkids, at least, you know, they could fucking look back and be like, great grandpa Joe worked his ass off, and this and like that is the thing, is the biggest measure of you as an individual is being able to take shit, fall down, get back up, and keep fucking going. Like, it sucks. Like my life is fucking difficult. It's been difficult. And sometimes it was my fault, but most of the time it wasn't. And I had every opportunity to just, you know, and I didn't. Because I understand that there's something greater than me. It's my kids. It's my wife. It's my grandkids. It's the country. It's my neighbor. It's everybody. And until we are there, because we won't be there because of me. We won't be there because of you. We will be there because of other people we cannot control. And I agree with you on that. I can't control who gets voted in Maryland. I can't control who gets voted in Colorado and California. I can't control that. to some extent, I can control who's the president and who represents me from Texas, and that's it. It's all I can control. But when we get there, I'll deal with it. Until then, I will fight. I will deal with it day by day. I will pay my taxes.
But see, dealing with it day by day, just suck it up and deal with it. That's exactly it. It's like having a shitty fucking girlfriend. I've been in lots of relationships, and some haven't been the greatest. And in those relationships, you deal, you want to stick it out, you want to make it work, you want to put all your effort into it, and try your hardest. But if you stop and think about it, sometimes it just doesn't fucking work. Sometimes you're just not right for each other. Sometimes you just got to fucking let it go.
I agree.
And walk away.
Nice.
And that's where we're at right now with the federal fucking government. The federal fucking government was never intended to be what it is now.
Also agree.
It is this monstrous, disgusting, just bloated waste of resources.
Also agree.
And
but
it needs to go.
It is a lot easier to drop somebody off at the curb than it is to, like, you honestly, if you feel it's that bad, like, I would just fucking cash out all my chips and fucking go move somewhere. Like
the middle of the woods to homestead and be left the fuck alone?
Like, out of the country. Like, because as long as you're in the country, you are liable to all the laws and all that stuff. I mean, like, fuck, dude. Go live on Epstein Island. I don't know. I don't know who owns it, but maybe you can go in partial with that guy. You can get a piece of that. I don't know, dude. Like, that's what I'm telling you. Like I hear what you're saying. I get the analogy. It makes a lot of sense, but you're talking, like, small versus huge.
I'll be honest. There's this island I was looking at. It was a man-made island. It was used as a military base. And motherfucker, if I had the money to buy that fucking thing.
How much was it?
Oh, God, I think like $6 million.
That's it?
Yep.
It
wasn't a big island.
How big is big? How many square feet? How many square feet?
I think about like
square
20
miles.
acres or 10 acres.
10 acres for $6 million?
Yes, but it is an island that with dock and stuff like that, and it was a fucking old military base.
$6 million for 10 acres, bro. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's not a lot of space, but still, if I could afford it, if I had just money, sure, why not?
I mean, if you got good credit, you can afford it. You don't need $6 million. Just fucking finance that shit. Finance that shit. No, listen, finance that shit, and you just live happily ever after. You'll never pay that bitch off.
You need like $3 million down.
No, you probably need 20% of that down. 20% of that, I don't know, dude.
Wait, yeah.
You need 20% of that down to get like.
I meant $2 million down.
Yeah, but and if you don't put anything down, then you're just on a variable interest rate. Which, the way things are going, shit, we might even end up in negative interest rates, bro. You might end up coming out on top.
Yeah, it's gonna go to negative interest rates, but it ain't gonna be us who gets the benefit of that.
Well, no. Negative interest rates basically means when you keep your money in a bank, they take
you lose money.
You lose money. Yeah.
But negative interest rates also mean that the banks, like what I'm saying, the banks are going to be the one that benefits from it, not us.
No, they well, yes and no. Like, banks don't necessarily, because banks benefit when people take out loans. Banks benefit when people put money in savings, because then they have money on their books that they can turn around and fractional reserve lend out to people. But if you cannot keep money in a bank because you are getting charged to keep money in a bank because the government is trying to encourage you to constantly spend your money.
And they're talking about doing that in the EU.
Oh, yeah. Britain, as bad as Britain is with, like, all the political correctness, Britain is coming out on top of this shit. They really are. People, oh, well, if you leave the EU, it's like, no, we are an island. We will be fine. We've survived a couple world wars. We will survive this bullshit known as the European Union. And kudos to them. Kudos to them. They just need to get rid of all that neo-liberalism bullshit, and I think they'll be fine. But we're drawing pretty close to time. Do you want to wrap it up, or do you have another topic, sir?
Nope, that's it. It's time for divorce.
Is that the final word? That's it.
No, I don't have a final word prepared. Just yeah, fuck taxes, fuck the government, fuck the ATF.
That's next week. Next week for those of
Well,
you watching.
but in particular, fuck the ATF today.
Mm.
Who 28 years ago they, butchered a lot of people in Waco.
Yeah, I should probably go watch that shit on Netflix. Be prepared for next week, huh?
Well, it's not going to be a talk on that specifically.
So taxation is theft. I heard fuck, but I didn't hear taxation is theft. We can't wrap up the show till we
No,
hear.
yeah. Let's see. I'll give a quote. And actually, there is one last point I wanted to make was, what's the best thing for peace?
Strength. And
No,
loading.
trade. If we had good trade relations, free trade, a true free market, there'd be a lot less war. So the final word is going to be a quote from Ludwig von Mises, who is an agorist, this is similar to the voluntarism and whatnot. Whoever wants peace among nations must seek to limit the state and its influence most strictly. And another, only one thing can conquer war, that attitude of mind which can see nothing in war but destruction and annihilation.
God damn, I fucking hate you, dude. I give you the last word, and you give me a shitty quote like that, because I would destroy that quote. God damn it. No, I'm getting off of here. That quote.
How is that a shitty quote?
Because if that is your attitude, then when someone comes to steal your goat, fuck your wife, and all that other shit, then you tell me you're not going to go to war. That you had nothing to do with that. You were a good person. You were doing good things, and another country was like, fuck your country. And there's nothing you could do about that. You traded, and they were just like, you know what? We don't like you because you're a Jew. We don't like you because you're white. We don't like you because you have better things than us. You know what? We don't like you because we corrupted.
And then if somebody comes to me and tries to start war, I fight it.
But what did the quote say?
But do I go there and sit around bombing fucking villages?
What did the quote say? The quote.
Whoever wants peace among nations must seek to limit the state and its influence most strictly.
So you're just a minimalist. You're doing your thing.
And then only one thing can conquer war. This is the one I think you're referring to. Only one thing can conquer war, that attitude of mind which can see nothing in war but destruction and annihilation.
Yes, that one. Sorry. That one. Did you could want to live your life in peace. In fact, you could not have any guns, not have any weapons, and you're just inviting another country to come take over your shit. That's just the way it is. That's the way it is. That people.
And that's why Japan wouldn't invade us. More guns than blades of grass, man.
Well, yeah. So next week, we will be talking about the 28th anniversary of the ATF and guns.
28th.
That's what I said.
That was an actual topic of it, but
well, that will be in the topic, as well as the actual full topic, which was gun control.
So here's the quote. It's Isoroku Yamamoto. I would never invade America. There's a gun behind every blade of grass. And I believe he was the admiral who commanded the Pacific Fleet.
Right, but he wasn't the emperor, so it didn't matter. He was just following orders. Hey. But yeah. GG Japan. But anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in. If you could, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, comment. We do read comments. We do reply to comments. If you don't like the video, dislike it. Tell us why you didn't dislike it. Say you didn't dislike it because Darian doesn't have his webcam up. He hasn't posted a recent selfie in like, I don't know, 8 weeks. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have the camera because I can still barely get around to make myself presentable. I haven't had a haircut and
dude,
sweet Jesus, I don't know how.
Take a selfie and make it next week's fucking, photo.
Fuck no. My wife just said I had Einstein hair. Getting a fro.
Oh shit! I need a picture of that, but
that ain't happening. I need to get a haircut, but I need to get through not get through physical therapy, but get to the point where I can start getting around more, and so on. I'll have my camera up and running.
Yeah, and we can't.
But right now I can't. Right now I still can't even sit straight in my chair.
Can't wait for that day. In fact, we'll just have like half the discussion will be about how you can sit up in a chair for an hour and a half with your camera on.
Pretty much.
That'd be great. That's the whole topic. He's risen like Lazarus. Oh shit. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with the topics we talked about. But with that being said, I'm Jake.
I'm Drake.
And this is the Jake and Drake Show. See you next week.
And don't forget that taxation is theft.